Welcome back, everyone, to episode 213 of the Craftverse series. And today we're finally going to be putting the roof levels around that build that I was working on last week. What I have come to call the Eigul Tower, spelled A-I-G-U-L, Lugia backwards, because the finished product, as was pointed out to me by at least two of my friends who have seen it, looks like Lugia's tower from Johto. I look forward to seeing if you agree. Let's get working on it, shall we? Now that I have a couple of platforms wrapped around the bottom. Oh, a little bit of lag there. I don't have to worry about missing where I need to be. So I can actually start putting these things in. But see, in order to accurately judge where things go, I might need a bit of height. Yeah, just a little bit of jumping enabled. I don't know if that's even the right block. No, it's not. I'm going to have to put the lantern in there so I can then put these and then I can put the lanterns in the corner. And one of them is a little bit too far over. Glad I have silk. I don't want to destroy my lanterns. I'm also going to be adding in some slabs underneath those so you can't see them from the bottom. All right. Now let's go ahead and trail this line over. I guess I'm ultimately going to have to use the full blocks of blackstone, and then potentially I can fly up there and place the next round of things that I need. As long as I make it onto one of these... Oh, well, we're back to this nonsense again of me failing to fly into the correct positioning. Got slippery feet. Ha! Success. Okay. So now I actually need to bring you across. A little bit of lag. There's a lot going on now in this area. There's also a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to see normally. So actually, with this being where it is, I need to put you there, break you, because the corners need to be sea lanterns for the same reason as the other side. And let's go ahead and put this in, because that'll be a lot easier underneath. And then we can wrap this all the way around. Except that one, apparently. It didn't want to go where it was supposed to go. This is actually an easy way of doing it. I had been concerned through multiple iterations of building this design that it would be a little tricky in survival mode without add-ons, but it seems to go smoothly enough. Provided I have just enough height to jump, I'm okay. Okay, that is fine. Just going to continue wrapping around, getting all of the corner pieces in. I have a feeling that you are one block too far over. Yes, you were. Okay, now these will connect seamlessly. And I can finish getting in at least the layer that goes up against the wall. There are a lot of blocks that go into this. This is just a little taste of what is to come for this roof style. Now, I didn't completely freehand this roof. I did make some alterations to the design I went off of. But as you probably know if you've been watching me long enough, I don't typically build realistic buildings. As you can tell by mob grinders and iron farms that don't normally need to exist in the real world, this looks like a pagoda tower. And if you know anything about Gen 2 Pokemon, it's based on an actual region in, I believe, Japan? Which should make sense. And I went off of one of their pagoda towers. If I can figure out where I stored the picture I went off of, because I built this thing from memory the last 5 times I built it. And yes, I have built it 5 times. Multiple different iterations of block palettes and such. I have a few more towers to build later on in the series. For right now, we're just going to be building Igul Tower. Because I don't need Pokemon suing me for using Lugia. So yeah. Something loosely based off of a real place, but also reminiscent of copywritten work. We're kind of, going against the grain for my typical build style. Don't fall off now. Some of the blocks don't want to place. I do have to wrap these all the way around so you can't see the sea lanterns. They're just meant to be adding passive light. They are not meant to be seen in the final product. So I'm giving you a little demonstration roof design. So we are supposed to see this, and then I wrap stairs around here covering both the top and the side of these layers of sea lanterns. Let's see if every block places or if it kind of glitches a little bit. It looks like we got lucky that time. Now for this particular block palette, I like the look of the original Blackstone. Because for some reason when you have the block of Blackstone, it's more of a muted texture, whereas it really comes alive when you cut it. You can tell there's a slight difference. These are darker than the fully flushed out block. I don't quite know why that is, but it does make building with it a bit more interesting. Because otherwise, like solid granite, solid diorite, andesite, you're not really going to notice that much of a change between full block and cut variations. But you can cleanly see that there is more of a casual depth to the full block and more of a in-your-face shading for the cut variants. So I'm using the in-your-face shading as the surface block and the muted undertones as like shadow underneath it. So you can't really, I don't know, what's the word I'm going for? Miss it, I suppose. You can't really miss it. So we're going to do this now and go 1 block over on each side. Because this little 5-block squiggle here is what I'll call it, is going to have stair here, stair there, turn twice, and then the final one juts out this way, creating a little level of sorts out this way. And then we bring this up to here, break this back out, put 2 stairs right there, and another slab on the corner piece, and we have a raised jut out here. And we're going to do the same thing in each of the corners, but we're also going to continue these slabs out 1, and this gives more of a direct contrast between cut and uncut Blackstone. we're going to bring this all the way out to the other corner and repeat the process. To about here. Stairs. Yeah, and sometimes you will notice that they'll kind of go inwards towards this stair. I'm not quite sure why it does that, because clearly I was facing this direction, not here trying to make it turn, but you know what? Once I put this here, it fixes itself, so problem solved. Now, you might be thinking, why don't you just put a light block in there? Well, I have a plan for that. And as well, I'm going to be putting a line of slabs from here to where that other stair juts inward. So it just looks like one uniform texture. You don't have the muted and the in-your-face, it's just the in-your-face. And that's very good, because I like having things look semi-cohesive and not, oh, why is that so different? Sometimes different is good, but when you're trying to make a certain aesthetic, something that's so blatantly not part of the aesthetic, it's a contrast I'm not really a fan of. So we're going to go ahead and do this and repeat the process again. Yeah, sometimes it juts inward like that, but it fixes itself. Sometimes you have to try and do forward placement to get things to go where they're supposed to. Because occasionally they'll just try and not. Now what you should be able to do is see eye level the bottom of this wraparound, which is going to have fencing from the corner to corner piece, leaving that one wide pathway which will be carpeted. So mobs cannot spawn up there, but for right now they probably can. There should be enough light I'll be safe, but I can't promise anything. Like apparently things placing when I tell them to. Because that is how Minecraft be at times. But you see, being up here, you have a nice lay of the land view. That makes this whole thing worth it. As tall as this beast is, and you won't be able to see that line of sea lanterns from the outside later anyway, but as tall as this beast is, the view makes it worth it. Now I have to figure out what I want to fill this area with once this tower is done. I haven't quite worked that part out yet. And I will be changing some block palette with the bridge as well, because I like having the use of the diorite for the pathing, but for the bridge, it's not as favorable as another choice I've made. And I will get to that at a later time. For right now, it's just getting the wraparound of this roofing in so that we can move forward with the upper roof, which is a little bit more expansive, because not only does it have to wrap around, it has to cover the absolute top, which will have a tree on it. Because what is a historical pagoda without its native trees? And this one looks like it would go well with a cherry blossom, so that's what I'm going to put on top of it. A literal cherry on top, like I did with my house. Only this one will seemingly make more sense. Or at least have more space to make sense. That, it looks alright, but it doesn't quite make sense. It'll make more sense on a darker roof palette. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Let me know in the comments if you agree once we get to that stage. But for right now, we still have to stretch this out to the original corner. Okay, that's done. I believe I have all 4 corners in. So now I can just do this. Hey, it cooperated with me this time. Yep, all 4 corners are in. So now as far as the surface of the roof is concerned, this one is done. Now let's go for a little bit of a flight over to the tree farm. Ooh, excuse me. And you can see a little bit better what the roof looks like. Now, it's not finished. And that's only one tier. And you see how much blackstone I had in my inventory when I started this, and almost all of it's gone. So that's why I have some extras pre-cut. Although, something I haven't addressed yet. If you've been paying close enough attention to the screen, between last episode and this one, the days played counter has jumped past 1,500. Well, tomorrow, as of the time of recording this, is when the Happy Ghast update is supposed to drop. So I've been going ham with the duping glitch. Yeah, I've been at this for a while trying to make sure I had all the materials I could think of that I have access to heavily duplicated. And I'll go a little bit over that later. Let's go back over to this level and put in the under flaps, which I guess I'm calling them now. It's a word that just came to mind. To cover over the sea lanterns so you can't, pun intended, see them. Spelled a little differently, obviously. And with that, no visible sea lanterns and a more or less finished roof. But this looks a little silly, doesn't it? That's because there's going to be a piece that goes all along this and a lantern roughly in the middle. But before I get to that point, I would like to make sure I don't fall off in the process, so I will be putting in the fencing for this tier. Let's stock up on some of my blackstone here. I think I grabbed a bit too much. Put you back. Grab these, make sure I have all of the pieces in the hotbar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the stairs should be fine for now. I think I have them in another chest. Also, you might notice I'm munching on golden carrots now instead of cooked fish, which I had from the Guardian farm. Yeah, I have a lot of golden carrots now. I don't have to worry about food that's actually suitable anytime soon. Okay. So, that spruce layer is to be untouched. Above that is to be trapdoors. And then the next layer is to be stairs. And then above that, I actually need to put these in. Right. Sometimes forward placement is a little slow. I guess Swift Sneak was not factored in when forward placement was initiated as a game mechanic. It's like, you know how some authors will have the plot ready to go several books in advance for a series? And some will just go, oh, I didn't think about this when I came out with this idea. How do I fit this into the existing story? That's kind of what this feels like. How do I fit Swift Sneak into a pre-existing mechanic? And for the most part, it synergizes, but not all the time. Which is why you get little glitches with the game code. Sometimes it's good to plan ahead when you're trying to do a game, but sometimes you don't know how the market's going to go. You don't know what the gamers are going to want. Let's be real. We pretty much always know what the gamers want. They want better game. They want cohesive mechanic. But we don't always get that, do we, guys? Unfortunately. Sometimes we get, grr, we no want do, grr. But we pay money. But grr. Okay, fine. Don't get money. No, we want money. Well, then do thing. No, we don't want do, grr. It's like dealing with 5-year-olds. That is the market in a nutshell. Don't at me. We all know it. Be better. No, gamers, I'm not talking to you when I say be better. Just to clarify. It's not the gamer's fault that you're not listened to. Sometimes, admittedly, the arguments don't always make sense. But usually they're pretty simple and straightforward. Like, we want the mechanics to not have an issue. We want less glitches that disrupt our play. Not necessarily less glitches entirely, because sometimes those are fun. Like, for example, the dupe glitch I've been spending like 100 Minecraft days focusing on to make sure I had everything that I could possibly think of that I need, except apparently I don't have a single block of skulk. I literally looked through every chest in my house and not a single block of skulk. And I know I got Swift Sneak from an ancient city, so why didn't I get skulk? That was like the first thing I did when I turned this into a realm. I don't get it. I don't know. Sorry. I'll have to go back. I'm a little heated about that because I do actually want skulk in one of the variations of this tower. Because it just looks so good. And by the time I get it, they'll probably patch the dupe, which is one of the reasons it's day 1542. Because I was worried that they would patch the dupe. And they probably will, just because they don't like it when you break game mechanics. And that's another argument that gamers have for those in the companies that might be watching these videos. First off, I don't know why you're watching my video specifically, but thank you very much for the support. Second, be better. Let people have fun with the game that you made. Once we buy it, we're supporting you. So if there's a glitch in it that we don't complain about, leave it alone. Okay? Just leave it alone. It's not gonna hurt you unless we complain about it. And then it's gonna hurt you. Because word of mouth is everything in an industry of video games. You might think it's the money, but word of mouth helps contribute to whether or not you get that money. And some people tend to forget that. Gamers have power. And no, it's not always a Infinity Star or whatever you call it in your particular video game of choice. Sometimes it's simply paying with your viewpoint. How do you perceive the product? Not how are you told to perceive it based on pricing. Let's be real, we're human. Prejudice goes into it a lot. You assume a game's going to be bad, and then it's bad. But then you play it and you go, oh, it's actually not as bad as I thought. But still bad. I'll be honest, that's what my opinion of the Switch was initially, and you see what that turned into, so. Giving things a chance sometimes goes a long way. It doesn't always pay off, but when it does, you get more fun out of it that way. Just like leaving glitches in your games. Sometimes it's not an intended consequence. But if people are having more fun and actively trying to play the game with the glitch in it, and it doesn't really hurt the game, just leave it alone. It's fine. And not like the meme with the dog sitting on this chair in hell going, this is fine, everything's fine. No, I mean, it's actually fine. You don't have to make a mountain out of a molehill every single time you see a mountain. It's like, this looks kind of like the issue I'm having, so I should put the same amount of issue into my issue. That sentence made no sense. I'm sorry. But the point is, just because something else that seems similar in retrospect to what you're experiencing is bigger than your current issue actually is, does not mean that you should then make your current issue as big as the thing you perceive it to be. And that was very technically worded, and I did not mean for it to be. But essentially, If you stub your toe, you didn't get shot, okay? Sometimes it just happens. You stepped on a Lego. You heard a crunch. It wasn't your foot. Unless you're really that weak, which is possible. Don't get me wrong. Some people actually have issues. But generally speaking, it's the Lego going crunch because it made contact with your foot on the floor. It doesn't mean it's broken. It probably is, but it doesn't mean that it is. Don't always assume. And your foot certainly isn't broken because you got an ouchie. Obviously, this is a generalization. There will always be incidents where things are actually as bad as they seem. But for the most part, when it comes to glitches in games, it's really not. Sometimes people just like having a little bit of fun at the company's expense for leaving something in. Maybe they think they got one over on you because they found something cool hidden in your game as a gem. Like, oh, they didn't know they left this in there. How many times did the company actually not know it was left in there? Sometimes they just don't know how to fix it, or haven't figured out if they should. And then somebody with deep pockets goes, you should fix it. Less fun means more pay. That's not how the metric actually works, but okay. Less fun is not how you get more money. You are a game, whatever quality of game you are, be it video game, board game, game in your own brain, which I wouldn't be surprised if the next generation of gaming takes place in your own brain, given the advent of VR. But you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Point is, let people have fun however the hell they want to have fun with the product they paid money for. Leave people alone. Just because you have a vision for a game doesn't mean that's how it's ultimately going to be. Things change, adapt, evolve, grow with them. Otherwise, your product really means nothing. Something I've had to learn with multiple stories I've written and multiple videos I've planned is sometimes the things that are more fun are not what you planned on in the beginning. Like when I first set out to build this tower, I did not think I was going to be making like 4 other versions of it. But, you know, I have a different world on a different Switch. Going back to the... I wasn't expecting to ever play the console, and now I own 2 of them. Ugh. Blame Pokemon. Yeah, I have a different account that I do a lot of my offline experiments with, and that's always a better idea than trying to play on the same Switch, because if I come up with a really cool idea and want to build it block for block on the other like main accounts like this one, I like being able to visually compare. And it's easier to do when they're directly next to each other than if you have to load in from different worlds, because sometimes your view is skewed between different worlds or the same Switch but loading in and out. The loading screen is like a hypnotize for your brain. It desensitizes you just a little bit and confuses where things should be. Even the best players in the game can probably attest to this, where you'll see things on one world, load out, load into the next one, and then something will be amiss. You can't quite put your finger on it, so you go back. And that's why any of the Java players that just click back and forth between different worlds, like their testing world and the actual server they're building on, you'll see in the chat, has logged out, has logged in, has logged out, has logged in within like seconds. Because there's something amiss in the brain. You have to try and figure out where a block's supposed to be. You don't really know. So you click on it. And then you go back, go, I know what I'm doing. And then you go, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, let's go back. And it's been like 5 seconds in the span of that conversation in your brain. And I can't put a tree up here because I don't have dirt. But we can go over to the wool farm and get a better visual of the roof as it currently sits. And this is part one of it, and I also need to get those little sea lantern covers for the underside. But that's fine. We could do that. There's going to be some additions hanging from the corners. I have to get the tree in, and then there will be some lanterns on the underside of the tree, provided it grows in correctly, because sometimes the cherry trees don't want to grow in correctly. They'll want to be like, oh, I'm off to the left, or oh, I'm off to the right. No. No. You're supposed to go both ways. Like a tree. With arms. Both arms. Sometimes trees have a mind of their own. But you know what else has a mind of its own? My alt account. Or me when I'm playing on it. And you remember how I said I would show you all a little bit of what I've been doing with the dupe glitch and everything? Well, I also did a little bit of alteration to the base, and you wouldn't be able to see it from right here because just about everything is carpeted and looks identical to what it did last time, but inside looks just a little bit different. And you'll have to wait until next episode to see it. We're out of time. For right now, thank you all for listening to my rants, and let me know in the comments if you disagree or agree, and like the video if you enjoyed. And I will see you all in the next episode. Zeko, out.